tonight won't disappoint because it's two of my favorite artists together. It's Annie and her Attaboy.
Sorry to say that was my idea.
Or Eric and his Attagal. I don't know.
There you go.
And this is a big music weekend for us because we have our event tonight, and then on Sunday we have our monthly open mic. It's been shifting around like crazy because we've got competition across the street with loud music. So on some Sundays, so we're now shifting that to the third Sunday for the foreseeable future. So on Sunday the 17th, we have open mic. Feel free to come and bring an instrument, bring a friend. Our feature artist will be a young man named Graham Dawson, who's a great singer-songwriter and a wonderful voice. So I'm looking forward to giving him a spotlight there. And then later in the month, just a week later, we have another Sunday afternoon event. We're classing the joint up a little bit. We're having some Renaissance and classical and some 19th century stuff with a woman who works for me, actually, who is a musician in her other life. And so it's called the St. John's Recorder Ensemble, or if you're British, it's the St. John Recorder Ensemble. And then in September, this is new, we're welcoming back Michael Ronstadt and Aaron Nathan. That's on September 14th, so that'll be another Sunday afternoon event. You know, now that I'm getting old, I'm not doing as many nighttime events as you, but Sunday afternoon seems civilized. So, and then if you happen to have picked up anything like this bookmark that had that mentioned something about a September 7th open mic, because of that conflict, we've shifted it to the 21st. And that'll be, our feature on the 21st will be Denise, Jordan Finley. So doing a solo, so that'll be kind of cool. So that's what's going on in the library. Of course, there's movies and lectures and author visits and all kinds of good stuff. So pick up a calendar and pick up a bookmark. I've corrected all the ones that I have. And enjoy tonight's performance with two of my favorite people. Eric Garrison.
So glad to be here.
Seems like we should all abandon the aisle and just come together. Singeing wood, huh? I was 16 years old and playing in a Battle of the Bands at Wappingers High School. And me and my other 16-year-old bandmates were very, it was really important to us that we make a good impression. So they had 10 or 12 bands in the gym. And Mike Gordon, from who's Robert Zimmer Brothers Jewelry now. In those days, he was a DJ for WHVW.
Yeah.
And so he was running around and emceeing, and it seemed like there was an opportunity to get some radio publicity and so forth, so we were very excited. And the day before we had wrangled over a name for the band, and feeling very English, we had decided to call it St. John's Wood, and then I don't know where I knew, I guess when there was a Rolling Stones record where Mick Jagger pronounces it Singeing Wood, so we called the band Singeing Wood, and then Mike Gordon came over and interviewed us a little bit. So, what's the name of your band? We said Singeing Wood, and that was great. So, and he was emceeing, so then he got up to the mic and introduced us as Singed Wood. There's a lesson there for band name. Let me play you some. I've been searching 7 oceans, I've been searching hard and mind. I got a heart that's broken open, I got here on borrowed time. I wanna go where the train is going, I can hear that lonesome whistle go. I'm in love and the wheels are rolling, I wanna go where the lovers go. And I've been out climbing every mountain, I've been out standing in the rain, help another weary pilgrim up onto that moving train. I got a girl like a good cripple, shines like a beacon in the night. You can love me till I say it to the light. I wanna go where the train is going, I can hear that lonesome whistle blow. I'm in 5 minutes before showtime, you say, oh yeah, I'll do that song. That's fun. And then you realize, I haven't played that song in a long time. Second verse again. And so that was I hope it was a graceful attempt to salvage something out of one verse and 5 choruses. This is my hit song. I'm going to play it right up front. A lot of people will string you along. They'll make you sit through 2.5 hours of music before they finally get to Margaritaville or whatever. We'll put this right up front. My daughter was getting ready, my youngest was getting ready to go to college. And I was trying to figure out how to finance that venture. Since we didn't put any money away. Remember those days? You're still with us. So my daughter looked at me one day, and she's, we were sort of thinking through colleges and talking scholarships and all that kind of stuff. And I said, well, the solution to your problem is easy. She said, just, you're a songwriter, just write a hit song. Write a hit song and the money will come rolling through the mailbox.
Why didn't I think of that?
I did not think of that. So we sat down, and I sat down and tried to write this hit song, and I was figuring I needed to do some research, so I went down to a local record store, dating myself, but I sort of went through, thought about what songs were popular, what they contained, what made them relevant, and so I put together a song that had some of those. At the time, it was very much in vogue to make references to songs from back in the 60s, so we put some of that in there. A little religion, a little politics, a little sex in there as well. And sort of mixed them all together and wrote this quote-unquote hit song. A couple years later, when I hadn't expected to do anything with this song, really, honestly, then we put it on a CD that I had out, and paid a guy from Nashville to promote this CD to radio. And so once a week we sent copies out to about 300 Americana stations across the country, and once a week I would get a report. And John would call me, and tell me how many stations were playing, who picked up what, and so forth. And I get a message one day that says, Eric, it's on my phone machine, Eric, call me right away, you're a hit. So I called John and waiting for the good news. And he said, yeah. He said, your song, Morning Glories. He said, it's in heavy rotation. And I said, that's great. Where? And I'm picturing, like Nashville with a great market, or some big city somewhere, where the song could make lots of money and put my daughter through college. And he said, well, in Twisp, Washington. I didn't know exactly what to say. I said, oh, well, thanks, and I got off. And I got out a map of Washington, and just east of the Cascades, there's a very, very small dot that indeed said Twisp. And I did a little research on it. It's a real small town, single radio station. I figured their CD library was maybe a shelf, and my CD was occupying probably 10% of that shelf. So I still entertain fantasies of going to Twisp someday. Buy myself a Cadillac. Right down Main Street, Twisp, waving to people. Remember me? Somebody told me that there was more of those growing by the gates down in Purgatory. This goes to show someone's got a sense of humor down there. Yes, and somebody told me there's a tree grows at Brooklyn. You couldn't find it if you spent all day with it. I guess that means we better let the fire away. And every now and then I get to wondering as I walk around the road, the second time to live. What if they send him back and he lets it down here? What if he lets it down here? My daddy told me if I'd get up early, I'd either get rich or my hair would get curly. So I speak till noon and my daughter runs a bridge to my home. There was Popeye who told me I should eat my spinach, every last drop right down to the finish. But I never did like it, I'm older now and I just don't care. my mom, my dad, my sister, my dog, my fish named Jim. And I'd go home and I'd ask my mama if she knew the words to that song about. She said they weren't Spanish, they'd have to stay that way. Every now and then I get to wondering as I'm walking down the road to let me come with. What if they send it back and he locks it down here? What if he knocks it down here? My daddy bought a brand new Chevy, but he never would let me take it down to the limit. As far as I could tell, rock and roll was not really here to stay. It was my friend Mike who knew all the words of satisfaction. Get off my cloud, it was a man back. He spent years on the news and then he grew up, grew my own way. Every now and then I get to wondering as I'm walking down the road to the second town with. What if they send it back and he locks it down here? What if he locks it down here? Tonight your kid's gonna go out on a date. Won't be home early, won't be home late. You find yourself wondering, is this where it all begins? So you buy the kid a car, window back seat, his buckets in the gear shift, forget about the heat. Until I play it safe, my mind look out all the time. Every now and then I get to wondering as I'm walking down the road to second county river. What if they send it back and it locks it down here? What if they knocks it down here? Somebody told me that there was morning glows going by the gates down in Purgatory. It goes to show someone's got a sense of humor down there.
Woo!
Thanks very much. I didn't bring all these guitars to show up. But actually, I just had an idea this afternoon, so I was restringing guitars and tuning things up. And thought it would be fun to play whatever song I was playing, to play it on the guitar it was written on. So I'll see if I can do that. There'll be a challenge for that one because the songs on that one go way. And you're not been playing together for what, 10 months, 12 months?
Yeah, well, the first time was at the gallery outside.
And
That
I
was
do
September.
we do some lounge and restaurant work, among other things.
Lounge and restaurant. And some pubs.
The first time I worked in one of these places, I said, "What time do I need to be there?" And she said, "Now I come from just 10 o'clock start time, playing 10 to 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. Go home, take a nap after supper, get up, go to work at 9 o'clock, whatever." So she says, "Well, can you meet me there at 6 o'clock?" And suddenly I felt like, remember when you were a little kid and you go to the drive-in and the sun is still out and you're in your pajamas? And it suddenly has that feeling sometimes. I remember going down to the Hyde Park Drive-in that way and running down in my pajamas down to the playground. They always had a playground down under the screen. Worst possible place to put it, because you're there on exhibit in front of everybody, and your little Roy Rogers PJs or whatever. And there's always some 13, 14, 15-year-old kids down there laughing in their pajamas. And we used to get down there and we'd play. We'd be having a good time, but once in a while, one of the older kids would suddenly get very friendly and helpful, which is always a dangerous thing. Some adolescents start saying, "Hey, why don't you come over here?" And they used to put us on the merry-go-round. They had one of those spinning discs with metal protuberances that you could hang on to while it was spinning around. And the big kids used to get us on the merry-go-round. Start running us around. We'd went so fast, and then we'd be yelling for help to our parents. And of course, they're 50 yards away, and we're going like this, and they're going like this. Such terrible thing. This song was kind of inspired by some of those memories. It's called My Old Back. Well, my old bike had a squeaky wheel, 2 bench spokes, but I tell you I was mobile. Peeling out down Parker Avenue to Garden Street, heading for the mailbox where the cool boys meet. Well, the air was thick on them hot August nights. Staying out late, we'd be hanging by the street light. We'd hear Daddy's whistle when it got to be too late. Adolescents round the corner, we could not wait. Sha-la-la-la-la. Oh, sha-la-la-la-la. Well, my daddy bought a view. It must have been 50 feet long. Tommy next door, well, he said it was a real bomb. Riding with the windows down because he would breathe. Daddy's got his arm down on, she's giving him a squeeze. Sha-la-la-la-la. Oh, sha-la-la-la-la. And I was just a kid and my questions, they were easy to answer. Feelings, they were right there on the radio. But I knew I'd be alright, 'cause I'd be there dancing. Oh, some sweet romancer. Well, Joyce down on the corner, she was 17. And she went out with Tommy, he was always on the first team. They'd come home late at night, I watched them when I sat. And I showed them wish some girl would kiss me like that. Sha-la-la-la-la. Oh, and now I'm cheating because this song was actually written on the back guitar. This one is kinder to my fingers, if not to my tune. Come on, you can do it. I was 18 when I got my first real job, and by that I mean a job where I had to go sweat somewhere and work hard. Before that, I'd been a camp counselor, which was hanging out with little kids and having a good time. And 4 hours a day. I was a camp person too.
It's a real job.
It's a great job. But I had this. I got a job at the Lloyd Lumber Company. Lloyd opened in that big barn in back of the Ever-Ready Diner. They opened down there. And they were there for a long time. I was there when they were cleaning the barn. That was my first job, was scraping pigeon manure off the beans. The first thing they gave me to do. Things went slightly uphill from there. And having that job gave me something to brag about with family, I thought anyway. So I remember being at my grandpa Garrison's for a visit, and sitting down at Sunday breakfast. We set these huge Sunday breakfasts like people don't have anymore, with four different kinds, like sausage, bacon, scrapple, and several kinds of eggs, pancakes, waffles, on and on and on. And these things would go on forever. And afterwards, we'd all adjourn to the porch, Grandpa Garrison, Grandma Garrison's house, and sit there and talk. And Grandpa Garrison smoked a pipe, and the air would quickly fill, and he'd sit there tamping down his pipe. And he had a voice that was somewhat like Popeye's. If you've ever seen Robin Williams in the Popeye movie. So he turned to me and he called me Ricky. He turned to me and, "So Ricky, what are you doing?" And so when I got this job, I said, "Well, Grandpa, I'm working in a lumberyard, driving a forklift." Manly thing. So he, "Oh, good." I said, "Yeah, but," and then I started complaining about my boss, about the hours I had to work. We were required to work 52 hours a week. I had two days in there that were 12 hours long. How tough it was. And Grandpa just sat there, and the more I was throwing the bowl, the thicker the smoke got. So I picked this opportunity to fill me in on his work history. When I was 13, his father died, and he had to go to work to help support the family. So I went to work for the Endicott Johnson Shoe Company up in Johnson City, New York. And, I worked in the box room there, making cardboard and making shoe boxes. And, I have a great picture, this 8x10 picture of the box room that was taken in the 1920s. And you can see my grandfather standing next to this huge machine that he worked with. So he talked to me a bit about the Depression and what it was like, working in those days, and how he'd been working. Of course, one of my complaints about the lumberyard was, how boring it got, doing the same thing every day, blah, blah, blah. So he talked to me about working literally in the same room for 45 years or whatever it was, and that he was there. So that humbled me a little bit, to say the least. So this song is called "Thank God and the Company." It's over to my grandfather. To the factory when he quit school 1913. Went to France for the Great World War, too young to know what he fought there for. Came back home to the factory, married my grandma in 23. She's making boxes to make a life, making a way for the kids and her wife. Bought his first house with a company loan, electric glass and a telephone, second-hand Fords, and he held the keys. He said, "Thank God and the company." Grandpa held on to the factory. They cut his hours and they cut his pay, and he cursed Herbert Hoover till his dying day. Then along came the war and the Eisenhower years, the ups and the downs and the smiles and tears. Second-hand Fords, and he held those keys. He said, "Thank God and the company." Then came the day Grandpa made his last box. got a pat on the back and a premium cloud. He spent years on the porch, Prince Albert in a can, smoking his pipe is a company man. Then his eyes gave out and he moved to a home, stood by the bed, but I was all alone. The very last words that he said to me were, thank God and the company. Thank God and the company. Back in the corner smoking the pipe.
Yeah, ready.
My use of pipe, excuse me. Sorry that I woke you, I know it's kinda late. I guess I stood there frozen, forever at you again. And I saw you through the window as you came to get the light. The angel I remember, it took me in one night. And I know all this night I wonder, when I think about your eyes, could you be someone to me? Could you be my beautiful surprise? I see you got a new place, paintings on the wall, books upon the mantle, titles I recall. Do you keep that candle there beside your bed? I remember how my friend was baby real red. And I know all this night I wonder, as I look into your eyes, could you be someone to me? Would you be my beautiful surprise? So move it a little slower as you lead me toward the door. Could I kiss you and hold you just once more? Or would it seem unnatural? Would it scare you too? I've walked this whole world over, and I brought it home to you. And I know all this life I wonder, as I dream about your eyes. Could you be someone to me? Could you be my beautiful surprise? Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
It's almost dark.
Oh,
from 9 to 5. Then I come home like he drove to the Hyde. Worship my queen just like any good honeybee. I got a little brick house, I got a white picket fence now. Gladly pay that mortgage cause it's better than rent. So even when I'm sleeping, I'm still living out that equity. But sometimes at night I get a feeling in my soul. I like to chuck it all, take a rock and roll, hit the road, crash motels and drink cheap wine. And then it all goes away just about breakfast time. Goes away just about breakfast time. My kids think I'm crazy, my wife thinks I'm cute. And every once in a while I like to put on AC. Ask her to come out and do some stepping with me. Well, we have a late evening dinner, then I surprise myself and I dust off my dancing shoes, take them down off the shelf, give the lady the bop and the stroller, that's living to me. When we get home, it's long past midnight. I keep my fingers crossed, play my cards right. She goes in the bathroom, gonna let down her head, and there's a sweet smell of perfume in the air. Now I lay back and close my eyes, temptation is on my mind. And then she wakes me up just about breakfast time. Wakes me up just about breakfast time. She says, don't worry, darling, but that's alright. You can catch me some other night. A man your age really needs to sleep. Well, we'll come July. We pack the kids in the car. We're gonna hit that high. We're gonna drive real far. Gonna spend some vacation time just laying around on the beach. Well, give me gin, give me tonic, give me lemon, give me lime. How I love to while away my leisure time. And I don't want nothing that's too far for me to reach. Well, in a couple of days I had this life figured out. I'm gonna live it right, cast aside all doubt. Self-made nice and dedicate myself to poetry and rhyme. And then it all goes away just about breakfast time. Goes away just about breakfast time. So listen, my friends, hold on to your schemes, hold tight to your plans, hold on to your dreams. Be what you want, don't you let nothing hold you back. But sometimes at night when your thoughts get real wild and you get to thinking that your life's leaking out, you might just scare yourself. Don't you worry, that's fine. Cause it'll all go away just about breakfast time. Goes away just about breakfast time. Take a short intermission and avail ourselves of the refreshments over there. And roll in with this huge bag of candy. More power to you.
Bags of candy.
She walked in and she said, I brought, and then I thought she said caffeine. And I was going to say, that's such a good idea, but then she said, no candy. She's talking my language. Well, I've taught songwriting and performance classes for quite a few years, and it always seems when you get a group of songwriters together, everybody's got a story about where inspiration comes from, and everybody's got a song that just appeared to them out of the vapors, you know, and sort of. I was always jealous because I'd never had one of those. I mean, for me, I sit down to write and start playing guitar, and a song either comes or it doesn't. If it doesn't, I stop, and I'm not going to torture myself, and I go bowling or do whatever I want to do. And, but one time, I was down in North Carolina. I used to work for a program down there. And, I was down there for 2 weeks contiguously. And it was a kind of program where you didn't sleep. You just played. You had classes during the day, and at night there would be a concert. And after the concert, everybody would sit around like we were doing last night and play songs till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Go to bed, an hour of sleep, get up, have breakfast, make a 9 o'clock class, and just do that. And I'd done that for two weeks straight. So I was driving home, and I left Asheville, North Carolina, and made it to the turn for I-77, which takes you out of North Carolina up into Virginia. And I was heading up there, and I was getting very sleepy. I'd been on the road only about 4 hours at that point, maybe 4.5 hours. And I was drawn to this little place called the Shot Tower State Park, which is right off I-77 if you're ever driving down that way. It's a great little place. There's a stone tower. I used to be a history teacher too, so it's really tickled me. The stone tower up on a hill right along the New River, which runs up into Virginia. And they used to make shot there during the Revolutionary War, and they would mold solid shot for guns up in the top of the tower, and then they had to figure out a great way to cool them. So what they did was just drop them down through the tower. So basically they kind of had a screen, and they would throw molten lead. The lead would drop down through the screen, form these blobs, and it was going down through the air, through the tower, and then down through the cliff. Right? It would begin to cool, and then it would end up in the water. And then somebody had the job of having to go into the tunnel, or the cave, I guess it was, and scoop these things up. Kind of like those guys that collect golf balls at driving ranges. So I pulled off the Shot Tower State Park, and I was suffering from fatigue and sleep deprivation, and so I laid down on a picnic table, and this song came. So at last, I was like so happy. I finally had one of those experiences, and it's never happened again. But so this is it. It's called Southland. Down in the Southland, where the tall corn grows, next to fields of tobacco, and the New River flows. Down in the Southland, the hills they tell ancient stories of hell, ancient stories of hell. Down in the Southland, you can learn how to dance. Put your hand on the flute and turn your heart to romance. Well, down in the Southland, there's a woman I know, sweet cane and molasses, wherever she goes. And down in the Southland, she's a keeper of the flame. She knows my story, she knows my name. And down in the Southland, she taught me how to dance. She put my hand on the fiddle and turned my heart to romance. Down in the Southland, you can get lost, you can cast off your demons, you can damn the cause. Down in the Southland, hidden back in a corner, is the love that you dream of, one that nobody knows. Down in the Southland, you can learn how to dance. Put your hand on the fiddle, turn your heart to romance. Down in the Southland, you can learn how to dance. Put your hand on the fiddle, turn your heart to romance. Put your hand on the fiddle, turn your heart to romance. Put your hand on the fiddle, turn your heart to romance. Put your hand on the fiddle, turn your heart to romance. Play one more tune for you. A little story that goes with it. was written on that guitar. There's a lady, Lynn Bernstein, who comes to a lot of the shows here. I've known since I was a kid, and her daughter Laura made this for me when I was 15 years old.
Oh.
She was a macrame artist. Cost me $10. Served me well all these years. Thank you. Well, when I was in elementary school, just down the road at Hyde Park Elementary, in the wintertime, we would have phys ed in the gym, which was sometimes a scary proposition, because there would be that point in the year when our gym teacher would decide that it would be a good thing for us to square dance. Any of you ever had that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we go tromping off the gym, and our gym teacher was this lovely guy named Mr. Miller, and he'd walk in the gym, and he would greet us with this. I can't do it very well anymore. My wrist won't go that far, but he would. Hi, boys and girls! It's time for square dancing. And in a world as a kid where you trust the adults around you to establish a safe, secure, and understandable environment, it gave us pause for a minute. Some years later, I was telling the story, and somebody shouted out, "Junior Birdman," and I got a lesson.
There you go.
I totally missed that show. Was I too young or too old?
I didn't know there was a show. It's just when you went to third grade, you had to learn that whole.
Veneer, Junior Bird. Well, there was a TV show that had this went with it. I don't know. Something like that. But at the time, I didn't have that information, so it wasn't much. But we would go in, and Mr. Miller would announce square dancing, and immediately the boys would go to one side of the room, and the girls would go to the other side of the room, and we'd all tremble in fear because Mr. Miller thought it was fun to assign partners. And I don't know if he was really up on like the 5th or 6th grade social scene, but he seemed to know just who to pair you with. Result in taking all sorts of abuse on the playground for the following week. There was a girl around the corner from me that he was always pairing me with, and we were friends, and she was really nice, but immediately, as you know, in elementary school, there's square dancing, and then there's marriage. It's a very quick progression. So I lived in fear of those moments. So armed with that, I walked into adulthood. I was working in West Virginia and a week-long festival down there. Somebody I knew down there asked me during the day every day and said, are you going to the dance tonight? And I said, what kind of dance is that? And she said, it's a contra dance. And immediately, contra dancing and square dancing are not the same. I've been lectured on this many times. But in my mind at the time, that's exactly where I went. It was back to Mr. Miller, hi boys and girls. I said, no, I don't think I want it. No, it's just not mine. No, but thanks anyway. But this friend of mine would not let this alone. She thought, you really have to go. This was a lot of fun. So in the end, I went. And so we went up for the first dance, and the caller explained how the dance went. And so we started dancing, and we went through 32 bars of music, and then suddenly I would turn, and there would be another partner. I would lose my partner, and there would be another partner. And I noticed that as I got a new partner each time, the person would lock eyes with me in a way that up here in the Northeast we don't do very often with strangers. We don't do it unless we mean it. So I get this lovely lady in my arms, and she locks eyes with me, and then off she goes. And then I would turn in the dance, and comes another one, and lock eyes, and here we go. Now after 12, 14 of these, I began to wonder if indeed I had something that I wish I had known I had when I was younger at the time. So for each one of these people, we just sort of, the eyes would, this thing would reach down into my soul and tickle my heart, and I would fall in love for a minute, and and she would fall in love, and then she'd be gone. And then there would be somebody new to fall in love with, just like that. And this happened many times over the course of the night. And, so when it was over, the night I had a great time. It was really, really nice. So I went back to my room, and on the way I happened to bump into this friend who had invited me to this dance, and she said, "Well, did you go?" I said, "Well, yeah." She said, "Well, did you like it?" I said, "Oh, let me tell you, this was great." And then, with the unfortunate kind of poor judgment that I often exercise, I proceeded to tell her this entire story. What a wonderful night this has been for my ego, just to have each of these women falling in love with me a little bit as they and she was laughing. I began to get this feeling in the pit of my stomach that something was awry. Perhaps I didn't have all the information. When she could stop laughing, she said, "I don't know how to tell you this, but as you were dancing, you were spinning around a lot, right?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "Well, experienced dancers know that you want to avoid getting nauseous. So when you lock into position with someone like that, you stare directly at a point right over their eyes, and you stay there and keep it locked so that you don't get nauseous." And I was crushed. But I sat on the edge of my bed before I went to sleep that night, and I thought about finding the silver lining here. And I was pretty sure that if I called up guys I knew back home and said, "Well, what'd you do on this Saturday night?" I was the only one who could really say legitimately that I personally had kept 30 or 40 women from throwing up. So, I'm going to sing you a waltz. Because traditionally at the country dances, when they end the night, they end with a waltz. And it's been a pleasure to share some music with you. I'm looking forward to turning things over to Anne for a bit, and then we'll get back together again. And we're going to turn the energy level up a little bit. Rock the house. Moonlight, a warm night last summer. We danced when the cabin was new. Friends at the door, and sawdust on the floor. Watching their smiles all come true, and we danced till the fields were through. Moonlight shone down through the rafters as the fiddler recalled out the walls. And I went weak in the knees when I said, "If you please." You swept my heart out on the floor, and we danced till the fields were through. Could have listened for hours to your laughter, could have held you all night in my arms. But I'll tell you this, that one stolen kiss was the sweetest that I ever knew. And we danced till the fields were through. As the moon falls on down to the tree line outside my window tonight, I think how lucky the man who now holds your hand. On that sweet August moon, when we danced till the fields were through. Yes, I hope you don't mind that I called you mine, 'cause it was only for a moment or two, when we danced till the fields, all those fields, danced till the fields. want to mention, Greg, are you going to be here for a minute? Oh, there's Greg, okay. You all know Greg. I do have some CDs here. There's a CD that I made back in 1998. So it's kind of ancient history. On the other hand, there are like 50 copies left. It's a historical item. And it has some really good people on it. It has, I got a chance to record on the record with Rick Danko of the band, and Garth Hudson, and one of the last projects that Rick did before he passed away. And John Fatani's on there for Van Morrison's band, and Scott Petito and Leslie Ritter, and Bart Scott, and a whole bunch of good Hudson Valley folks who were on there. If you would like a copy of that CD, you're welcome to it, and if we happen to run out, I have more, a few more, not many. And you can have one if you make a donation to the library by planting some money in Mr. Callahan's hand. Okay, so all the proceeds from those CDs